absolutely beautiful Capricorn friends, and welcome to your horoscope for October of 2003. We're Capricorn this month. Not only do we have Pluto coming out of retrograde in your sign, which means that there is a release, a piece of the battle, you're putting it down. A piece of the frustration that maybe you've been having around a goal or a design or a wish that you've had for yourself, even the life that you've wanted for yourself. It's like some of the power struggle is over, and instead you're walking through this doorway into a place where you're like, okay, it hasn't come out exactly the way I thought it would or the way that I would have designed it, but it's actually quite good. So there's a real change in power dynamics that's happening this month, but also we are in the space of the eclipses. So we are going to have an eclipse happening not only in that 10th house, and Libra season always lights up the 10th house for you, but this is the official kind of course correction over the next 6 months. But we're also going to have the last Taurus lunar eclipse happening this month in your 5th house, giving new rise and thought and reorganization to all the work that you've been working on for 18 months around children, joy, pleasure, taking a risk, your own expression, things like this. So we'll talk about all of that. But right now, into the month we go, Capricorn, okay? So right at the beginning of the month on the 4th, we see Mercury entering into the energy of Libra. Now the Sun and Mars have already been traveling over here, and now we get the mental, the thinking planet on board in this Libra vibration as well. So this is a phenomenal time for you up here in the 10th house, which is your career, your soul level calling, the title that we call you in public. So when I say career or title, I want you to also keep in mind that if you are unemployed, retired, not working, whatever your situation is, that this is also truly, think about, what do we call you in public? When somebody says, what do you do? Or, what is your title in the world? Is it Miss? Is it Mr.? Is it Grandma? Is it Grandpa? Is it Aunt? Is it CEO? What do we call you in public? Think very broadly about that, because that'll also help you identify where this in public 10th house change is happening for you. Now, Mercury moving over here, but having Mars there as well is going to be helpful. But Mercury moving into this Libra vibration, this is where you're able to make stronger, clearer decisions, provided you are working with a fellow. Okay, so whatever the collaboration is, whatever the partnership feature is, this is where you're really going to be able to shine. And with Mars here, there's almost this resonance of, maybe you want to outperform the people around you, your coworkers, your competition, or you really want to do the best that you can do in this dynamic. Now, when Mercury is also traveling through this 10th house, one of the things that can happen is that if you are trying to just go it alone, I'm just going to do this by myself, I'm not partnering in any way, I think that you'll find yourself in these spaces where you feel confused, right? Like confusion is starting to show up. And that's a really good indicator that you're trying to go too far on your own. That's the Libra vibration, which reminds us that we can only go so far by ourselves before we have to partner with some kind of resource, okay? So even if you are working hard and you want the promotion to your name in public, or you want to be known for this, what is the other resource that you're also attached to? One last thought about this 10th house movement, because it's very activated. And we've also got Pluto over there in Capricorn, okay? A thought that I was having for you is there seems to be a shift in the family dynamic in some way, and maybe you are taking on a more powerful position. And I could say, Capricorn, that you might not even want it. You may be stepping into a role where you're like, yeah, I don't even actually want this. But in that partnership dynamic, your name's kind of been pulled out of the magic hat, and it's time for you to step up. So if that's you, please let me know in the comment section down below, what is this powerful family changing dynamic that's going to end up giving you a new 10th house title? All right, on the 8th, we see Venus enter into the energy of Virgo. I actually really love this for your 9th house expression. So first of all, what I'm thinking is, because Venus is an attracting in energy, it's pulling in, pulling in, pulling in. So, are you going on a long distance business trip? What are you doing that is long distance and it's being attracted? You're being attracted to it. It's being attracted to you. Is there money to be made long distance? And long distance today in 2023 can be considered online, publishing, marketing, broadcasting. Are you putting that book out out there? Are you starting a YouTube channel? What is it that is coming from this ninth house of expanded energy? Now, Venus here can also be Venus, which can call in a lot of financial or relationship dynamics. So in the ninth house, you do have to pay attention this month. Is there an extra bill, an extra expense, or something that Virgo energy is calling into you? And you really have to get into the details of it. Go line by line. If you get a bill or an unexpected expense or something like that, I want you to itemize that. Go through it line by line by line by line by line. Now, the other beautiful version of Venus is that it can also have your name in other people's view. They're like, oh, you know what? Our Capricorn friend or this person does a really good job. They're actually very good at what they do. And I think we should consider them because they really do Virgo. They do it the best. They do it very well. Their performance is better than anybody else's. So Venus could also be having your name out on the wind. And how great would that be for attracting a little bit of recognition to you? I absolutely love that. Now, on the 10th, we do see Pluto turning direct in your sign. And since 2008, Pluto has been working in your sign. So lots of changes, lots of deaths over and over and over and over again for you. And I'm not talking about the physical ones. I'm talking about the ones where your ego dies a little bit. That old piece of you dies. Those old ideas have been dying off. And you're like, that's not what I want for my life anymore. And some of it has been dying off under immense frustration, and as you've come to the other side of all of these little changes, it's the phoenix rising from the ashes. You come out clearer, stronger, more empowered, and better. But here, as Pluto has been in this retrograde, we think about what's been going on in your life since March of 2023. What came in when Pluto stepped just that little bit into the energy of Aquarius and then started to back up to this 27 degrees? Where did you find yourself going, I am not where I want to be. This does not look the way that I want it to. And now as Pluto is out of retrograde and begins to move forward, you can put down the fight. You're like, okay, wait a minute. This is a brooding over my life, and self-condemnation is really not attractive, and it's not going to get me moving in the direction that I want. Instead, where do I need to look at where I can stop the fight, I can stop the power struggle, I can just look at where I'm at and get on board with making a plan and adjust so that I can meet the goal in the time frame or in the way that I would like to. This is a really powerful set of questions. But this is, again, something that keeps coming for me when I look at this Pluto in Capricorn, right? This great head of family kind of energy where I'm going, what is changing in that family scenario for you, Capricorn, where you're like, if I have to take on this thing with my family, if I have to do this, I might not be able to meet a goal that I've set for myself or in the time frame that I would like to have it met. So this could be something where the family dynamic, again, is pulling up a little bit of a challenge. Just remember, adjust, just adjust. That's it. Don't power struggle, don't fight. Put down the bat, just adjust, okay? All right, on the 12th, we see Mars entering into the energy of Scorpio, where it is in rulership. So it's very comfortable over here working your 11th house space. Now, Pluto, the other ruling planet of Scorpio, is also out of retrograde at this point. So we've got both of Scorpio's ruling planets on board, ready to do it. Let's go, okay? So Mars in Scorpio is lighting up your 11th house. So this is friends, social groupings, organizations you're connected to, your dreams, hopes, aspirations for yourself. So really, truly, whether it is your peers, a close friend, people that you work with, something like that, if you own a business, it could also be your staff, whatever it is, there's a fair connection to getting things done here. And it's in a very Mars way. You're moving from the root of things, right? And Venus is also in Virgo, which can be very helpful to getting your business organized. Where do you need to step up into a state of leadership and get things organized, get them on track? You're focused on what do you desire here and what actions need to happen to get the ball moving, Mars, in that particular direction. Now, the other thing that I think that this Mars here is going to start to be good for is that Mars is good at showing you a little crisis or a little conflict. So if there is something going on in your social group, including your social media in some way, that has been getting a little dark, a little twisty, it's off track a little bit, Mars is going to let you know. It's going to start going, uh-oh, something's wrong in the root of this system and we need to make an adjustment. So, if things start feeling off, again, you've got massive amounts of confusion, or, you get off of watching your favorite podcast or listening to your favorite podcast and you feel more confused than when you went in. You're like, I need another podcast to help me from that podcast. Mars is helping to signal to you that this may not be the right action. Let's make an adjustment. Now, when we get to the 14th, we've got the new moon solar eclipse happening at 21 degrees of Libra. Again, this is lighting up this 10th house space for you. And we are going to work with the Libra and Aries axes all throughout 2024 as well. So settle in a little bit at this, this south node in Libra eclipse kind of energy, because what it's really getting you prepared for and set up for is to look at this 10th house, look at your career, look at your ambition, your achievements, the way that you organize and delegate your life. Look at those people who are in positions of authority in your life, okay? Because as this eclipse is happening here, first of all, one of the things it's going to ask you to do is look at your relationships. Where are you at in the dynamic of your relationships? Where do you need to develop new relationships to help you walk and move forward? Now, the 10th house is also where we do a fair amount of obligation, commitment, responsibility. So what are you taking on that has, again, got you stepping up into this new role, stepping up into this new power? For some of you, it may be something at work or something where the title that you're taking on also comes with increased earnings. Maybe you're making a little bit of money and that's putting you in alignment with different groupings of people. Pluto has just been working in your sign, and as it leaves, you may also be attracting in more VIP or more prominent clients to be working with. So whatever it is, there is an increase that is available here. But this Libra is also going to ask you to plant these seeds of intention at this new moon for what you would like here. What would you like? What kind of house, work, friendship, fitness culture would you like to be aligned with? Because sometimes what it really comes down to as well is being clear on what you want and then aligning yourself there and letting, Libra is ruled by Venus, attracting to you, letting those people begin to make themselves known to you. If you want a certain kind of fitness culture, if you want a certain kind of parenting culture, where are your people? Be clear on it, move towards it, take responsibility for that portion, and then let the vibration attract to you those earnings, okay? Now, I will say too, because these are going to last over the next 6 months, some of you may actually be making very big, sweeping career changes. And that's okay too. Just know, again, try and be clear on where it is that you're going or where you would like to go next. And that'll really help smooth the process. All right, as we get to the 22nd, we've got Mercury and the Sun moving into Scorpio, joining Mars over there. So the crew's all back. They're all in the 11th house, which means this particular position is busy. I'm telling you, the friends, the social groupings, if your social life, you find it getting busy, I wouldn't be surprised one bit at all. But you also have a fair amount of clarity at this time to make the decisions you need to make around this social sphere. So one of the decisions that you may end up finding that you need to make is that you end up having to go on a trip. Mercury can bring you new information on current situations, but sometimes you have to take a trip in order to gather or to get the information. So if you find yourself having to go on a trip, you're going on a business trip, you're going on a family trip, you're really having to take the lead in something, I wouldn't be surprised at that at all. Now, what I can tell you is be clear on what it is that you're attempting. What is your motive on going on any trip that is presented to you? And while you've got this cast of characters also in your 11th house helping you out, ask a lot of questions. Ask the probing questions. Get the details of what you need. If you've got to do something for a family member, you've got to talk to their doctor. You've got to help them with their budget. If this is a friend coming to you and they're crying about whatever they're crying about, ask the probing questions that help to work from the root, not just the surface level things. This is going to make this particular season for you really really impactful because one, clarity is kindness and is key. It moves mediocrity and it moves manipulation off the table because you start asking the questions that allow you to work from the root and build a strategy to actually be helpful here. If you feel like my friendship group, my social media group, my extended network is not growing, why? What is going on? What is the motive you're moving with? What's going to help you be successful and get organized? Where do you need to do a little bit of research or investigation in order to have this area be really successful? So these are good questions to be asking at this particular time. Okay, as we're going to end this month on the 28th, we have got this final lunar eclipse happening in the energy of Taurus, and this is not new. You've been working on this for about 18 months. Now, the eclipse is also happening over here. Uranus has been transiting through the energy of Taurus. Jupiter is retrograde, so there's kind of a lot happening in the Taurus vibration, but where I think we can take pause for a moment and celebrate is all of the changes that you've uncovered in yourself with this Taurus North Node being here, because really looking at how you enjoy yourself, what pleasure means to you, where you've been willing to take a risk, your ideas around romance, what can actually bring you this next level of increased happiness. It's a greater joy that comes from knowing a value of something. That's very Tauran energy. It's also, I think, a greater joy of understanding things like your finances. Now, yes, this is happening in the 5th house for you, but sometimes, it's like, how do I enjoy 5th house, my money? How do I enjoy my relationships? Who am I compatible with, right? What kind of work am I compatible with? These are what is fun and relaxing to me. These are the kind of questions that Taurus, in a very deep and exhaustive way, has been bringing to your attention. And I think it's been all the good for you. One of the things I question for many Capricorns out there at this particular time is, as you've been working through these eclipses with this Taurus vibration, how many of you had some real changes in your thinking about romance and about parenting, or about your own children, or yourself as the child, right? The 5th house is also the house of children. And when we're talking about children, it's our children or us as children to our parents. This becomes a place where, man, there have been some changes. Now, of course, with Uranus rocking and rolling here, I wouldn't be surprised if many of you had really unexpected expenses or just disruptions. Just surprise disruptions that came up because Uranus has been traveling through this particular area as well. But the other thing it may have brought is really surprising disruptions that turned out to be some of the greatest joys you've ever experienced. It's like, oh, I really want to have children, and instead you adopt a box of kittens and it's become the best thing in your life, and it's changing the way that you think about parenting or caring for others. It can be these simple dynamic shifts, but they're very powerful for you. All right, my beautiful Capricorn friends, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Please let me know in the comment section down below, how are these changes filtering out for you? And again, the changes that are happening around the family dynamic. Let me know if that's you and what is shifting for you. All right, my beautiful Capricorns, I'll see you next month.